Okay, hey folks, it's Dylan from EatWild, and we're really lucky here because Devin just shot a beautiful bison. We're here in northern British Columbia on a group bison hunt. So there's 4 of us hunting. We've got 2 tags to share amongst us. Devin shot a beautiful bull that just around 1 o'clock today, and we've recovered the bull. It's in a great spot, and we're gonna take this opportunity to just show you some of the fundamental cuts of breaking down an animal this size. This is daunting for me as well because this is by far the biggest animal I've done, but I'll show you a few things as we go and point out a few things, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. We got a guy here on the leg. We're gonna go in here and get the guts out first. On an animal this size, it's gonna hold a lot of heat. You can see all the hair here. So we wanna get these guts out as fast as we can and allow the meat to start cooling down as we work on it. Sometimes we'll do the gutless method, but here I wanna get these guts out. Big animal, lots of heat. So one guy on here, we're gonna make our like classic gutting cut here. Just gonna pick my way through his hide here, down towards his nuts, so where I hopefully won't get any of his guts if I go right through. Yeah, right through. Okay, so I'm gonna get through the hide and the stomach, and I'm gonna slip my knife between my fingers here. I'm gonna cut back towards the hide here. Okay, with any animal you want to free up the guts in inside the cavity and out around his butthole. So this guy here, we're gonna skin around his butthole and drag his guts out, and we're just gonna free up, I guess, the rectum from inside the pelvis. Now this is such a big animal, I don't know how well this is going to work out. I do have some longer deboning knives which I'll be able to reach in a little deeper. We've done our best to free up the rectum on around his bumhole there. We've got to cut down his belly here. We're going to reach in there and see if we've cut enough, freed him up in the butt here, enough that we can maybe pull these guts out and we'll start working them out. I'm gonna need somebody on this cape here pulling up over here and pulling back to give me a little bit more room. So Sean, we've pulled the rectum back through, and now we're just we'll reach up here next, and we're gonna work on, wow, freeing up the liver, and then eventually cut around his. I just need a long knife for everything because everything's so far away.
All right.
Yeah, this is kind of like doing it by braille here.
Right.
So we've managed to get the rest of these guts out. I've never ever experienced anything quite as challenging as this as far as getting guts out. I usually figure I can get the guts out of a deer in 2 or 3 minutes, and a moose in 10 15 minutes, but this is something else here. Just a lot of pressure, a lot of stomach mass, a lot of weight. Anyway, but you can really see the heat dissipating here, so that's why it's so important that we get these guts out, and then we can take our time working on the rest of the animal and do a nice careful job. So we've got the guts out of the animal. We've actually, because there's a lot of work to do here, we just actually rolled the whole animal away from the gut pile, just to reduce contamination, and also just be a nicer area to work now without basically kneeling in the guts and the blood and stuff. So now we're gonna get to work. We're gonna keep the hide on this animal. So we're gonna try and pull back the hide first and roll it back, and then we're gonna take off the quarters and then flip them over and do the same on the other side. Top of the first bump, which is right there. That might be it right there.
There you go.
Okay. So if you get across the top, there you
really
go.
Twist that one, nice. Yeah, that's
Okay, can be done with a bison.
off the boot go.
Okay, so we're just getting started skinning it. We made one cut up here. We made one cut up here. We're gonna turn this into I'm taking this home and we're gonna do a rug with it. So I wanna try and do the cape in one piece. And then we're gonna work the hide back up and over here. And try to flip it out the whole time so that we don't get any of this hair on the meat. But it's pretty tricky because it's so heavy. All right, so we got the hide off the one side. You can see we've just used a plastic bag just to keep it, like once this is all skinned out, you just don't want to lay it back down on the hair of the other side and on the blood and all the guts and stuff there. And then we've skinned it back this way. We've gone all the way around past its spine. So now we can take off all the cuts from here. So hopefully you guys will be able to still see what we're doing here with a little bit of low light.
Whoa. Oh!
Well, you got it? I told you you
punched-
gotta be tough, Jenny.
He almost punched you in the face. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna take this hip off next. This is the top of its pelvis here, this little bone right here, and that's actually where we're gonna peel this bone right off from here, or the meat off from the pelvis here. So we're gonna cut just on the inside of that pelvis bone, and we're gonna cut right down to his spine here. That's the pelvis bone there, so it's gonna come off there. And then the other cut I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna give myself a landmark cut. What I call it a landmark cut, but it's basically I'm gonna follow the end of this, what I think is the top sirloin around, and then I'm gonna meet up with that cut there. It's just inside there, perfect. Now the other thing I like to do, I could call another landmark cut, I'm gonna find the top of his pelvis here. You can run your finger on it, there's that bone right there. I'm gonna run the knife just on this side of it. I'm gonna run it down until I hit the top of the pelvis there. Okay, there's gonna match those cuts up. You're gonna switch places with me. Get rid of whatever you don't need. I want to keep this penis with this hide, so then I'm gonna just make sure I cut with this hind, I should say. I'm gonna cut just this side of it. See, I've got the penis here attached to here. In British Columbia, we have to keep evidence of sex and species on all the critters we kill. And then I'm just gonna cut straight down till I hit the center here of his spine. There we go. Like that. So there's bone there. Now, a lot of guys will cut straight through here with the bone saw and take the whole quarter off with the bone in. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to run the knife along the pelvis here. There's the hip joint there. Once that opens up, it's going to put a lot more weight on to Devin here. Keep letting her fall down away from me. Perfect. Once I cut that away, it should just want to go now. There's one little nub here that's a little hard to get around. You got to go up and over on it and around on it. And just got to keep following that bone. You'll notice that my blade's always kind of facing towards bone. I'm not actually cutting into meat, for the most part. Run that knife down that, back that pelvis. And you can see I'm meeting up with those cuts that I made. It's gonna get real heavy, so Taylor, you may want to get over here and help Devin as this peels off. All right, so just out of habit, I actually just started going at it, and I started taking the loin out. We were going to do T-bones and take this out with the sawzall, but I think we're just going to go ahead, at least on this side, we'll go ahead and show you how we take the loin out, and then how we take the ribs off as well. So I find the spine here, I run my knife. You see how my knife is angled down towards the edge of the spine? I'm going to go all the way up. You can see how it opens up like that. Run right across the top of the hump here.
Keep following them with that lock. Just follow the blade, please.
Yeah.
Now these guys are unique. They got a big hump up here, which most ungulates don't have. Which some of the meat came off with the shoulder, but the rest of it will come off with as we take it off here. And I'm just going to run straight down the center of him, right into his neck there. So there's that pelvis here. Now I want to go down the other side of the pelvis now. And I'm going to cut off just the end of the loin here. It tips up there a little bit. I'm going to find that spot there. Okay. Now, make sure I got this all the way down. Now, this is the loin here that we're going to take out. And you can see the top edge of the ribs here, which is a great guide as to where you need to start. You could just follow that guide, figure out where you are, and see it there. You can see the loin there, and the ribs there. So now I can just, if I could straddle this thing, a lot easier, but I can't, so I gotta. So I'm gonna run the knife just down the ribs and then wrap it in underneath the loin here. And I'll carry this cut all the way up here. You can kind of make your way. You'll feel there's some little rib ends there. You're gonna follow down those. Beauty. And then now I'm just kind of working my way down to I match up those cuts. That first cut that I made. Now this hide is still kind of clean enough. I could probably just let it sit there, or we could get a plastic bag underneath here and just have somewhere clean for this to roll off to. So on the front shoulder here and the neck, like all of this stuff is going to be like stew and slow cooking roasts and it's a lot of ground as well if you like ground. So it's not super important which piece it comes off with because it's likely going to cut up into smaller pieces anyways. So the most important thing is getting this loin off. But what I like to do, just because I like to have as few pieces as possible hanging from the tree in the end of this, is I'm going to take this loin here and I'm going to actually take half the neck as well with it. So I can hang this whole piece together, and I'll show you how I do it. Now I find the end of the ribs here, which is about here somewhere, and I'm just going to basically make a cut here and then meet up with this cut here on my loin. Now it'll be a bit tricky because this guy's real big. I'm going to peel off this whole piece along with that loin strap. Yeah, it's just esophagus. Pretty hard to see, but we'll see. We'll get down to the bone here, and we'll show you how it all looks when it's all done. Eventually, he's gonna cut up behind his ears here in the last vertebrae. As far as you can end up going, and I'll just continue to fillet, kind of cutting down towards the bone the whole time and pulling the meat back. Great, there's some tricky bones up there. There might be a bullet hole here. Yeah, that's a bullet damage there. Wow, that's incredible. You guys ready for this? Yeah. Oh, look at all that fat in that loin.
I know, right?
That's exciting. When I was backpacking this thing, what I would do is I would fillet off all of this rib meat and then just roll it up and put it in a bag. But because we have a sawzall, we're gonna do, before I get to that, sorry. So if I was to do that, I would basically start from here or from here and just peel off the meat and then cutting against the bone like I was showing you up here. Same idea, peel all that off. All that's gonna turn into wonderful stew meat, ground. It's gonna be amazing. However, we're gonna take the ribs out. So how we're gonna do that? We have a sawzall with us. We're just gonna run the sawzall up here to the top of the ribs. We're gonna run the sawzall right down the top of the rib line, right where we sort of cut in to get the loin out. And we'll take that whole thing off in one piece and we'll have bison ribs. So these are the tenderloins. So obviously we want to get these out of here. I just run my knife down between the two of them, and you find a bit of spine there. And again, I'm cutting towards the spine, not away towards the meat. All the way up there, like that. And then you almost with my fingers, you can run your finger in behind it there, and then run the knife. So you landmark with your fingers a little bit, and then run the knife behind there. This is the best advice ever. Always bring rubber gloves. to a bison party.
Can't feel my head.
We've peeled off all the main parts of the animal, and we're down to, we've packaged them up. We put them in plastic bags to keep them cool, sorry, to keep them clean while we're transporting them. We'll eventually take the plastic off and put them into game bags and hang them in a tree. Now, because it's sub-zero here, I think these are just gonna end up freezing. So I don't think we need to worry too much about hanging and meat care like we would in warmer temperatures earlier in the hunting season. So I'll expect these to freeze, and then we'll take them to the butcher. He'll hang them, or she'll hang them for us, and they'll thaw out, and then they'll age a bit then. So we've got all of our packages here. We've got our bits of cuts. We've got our little odds and ends here, our tongue. We've actually took the testicles this time, which we're gonna try, the loins, the heart, and then we're using sleds on this expedition. So we'll just load everything into this trailer here and make her back to camp. So feeling very fortunate today to have this wonderful opportunity to take apart a bison, and we're gonna enjoy this for all winter long, or what's left of winter and into the summer for sure. Thanks for checking out Eat Wild, and we'll see you next time.